right, good afternoon. My name is Nicole Dewing, and I'm the Managing Director of African Carbon Commodities, ACC. I came to Senegal over 20 years ago to work for the U.S. Peace Corps, and I've stayed ever since. Some people joke I'm half American, I'm half Senegalese, and I have been with African Carbon Commodities, ACC, since over 10 years ago. We started the company. I started it with my husband and our Italian partners. And I came on full-time as the managing director about 4 years ago when we started the plastic program.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Ahmed Mbaye. I'm 32 years old. I'm Senegalese. I studied economics and management. And I have been always passionate about community development and climate action. Before joining ACC, I served as a volunteer with Core Africa, an international NGO focused on community development and youth empowerment. So I was deployed in the southeast of Senegal, where I closely worked with local community on developing community-based development project based on their assets and their resources. So since more than 2 years now, I'm at ACC as the communication coordinator and the seabed cleanup project manager. So I'm delighted to be here today and to discuss our work, opportunities ahead, and the future of Africa. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Ahmed. So at ACC, we are known and very proud to be known for developing the first plastic credit project in Africa and in a least developed country under the Vera plastic standard. And we developed the first project called the Dekali project. I hope, Ahmed, that I'm okay with Dekali is a Wolof word in the local language in Senegal, meaning to be reborn, to be given a second life. So we called it the Dekali Plastic Waste Recovery Project, working with 3 recycling companies. As well, we are now launching the West Africa Coast Plastic Free Project, which is in Senegal, with a hope to expand from Mauritania all the way to Ghana. It's a very ambitious project on plastic credits. So you're probably asking yourself, what are plastic credits? Most people don't really know what are plastic credits because they're so new to the market. Plastic credits were created several years ago to address the issue of plastic pollution and the problem of inadequate solid waste management systems in developing countries, as well as creating new markets for hard to recycle plastics. And the plastic credits were developed to address this as a market-based approach, that is the private sector to private sector. And under the plastic standard of Vera and also PCX, who we're introducing our West Africa Coast Plastic Free Project with under their plastic standard, a plastic credit equals 1 ton of plastic that's collected from the environment, removed from the environment, equals 1 plastic credit, and 1 ton of plastic that is recycled equals 1 plastic credit. And our job at ACC, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later, but is to work with our recycling company partners to help formalize their operations so that they're able to obtain the plastic credits, which is based on an international standard. And the plastic credits oblige that the recycling companies must meet local laws, so they have to make sure they have their other permits, their environmental permits, they're meeting the labor standards, as well as meeting the international plastic standard. They're very difficult to obtain, and they are independently validated and verified by an independent auditor that comes in after we write at ACC. We write the project design and we develop the project. They come in and they verify all the different sets of criteria we need to meet to be able to obtain plastic credits. So those are our 2 plastic credit projects, and I'll let Ahmed tell you about another really interesting project we're working on as well.
Yeah, thank you. So in addition to the plastic credit project, we are developing a seabed cleanup project. So a very interesting project for the marine recovery and plastic waste collection. So in this project, we are working with local divers, local communities, youth clubs or groups, the municipality, and even the state. So this is a participatory project where ACC developed the project, ensure that the data are monitored well, to make sure that the plastic waste is characterized and the plastic waste is recycled or discarded to authorized landfill. So just to give you an idea of how it works, we have developed a pilot initiative in this a pilot initiative of seabed cleanup project. And in this project, we have mobilized over 200 divers for the project. We have trained over 30 young people on characterizing plastic credit and recognizing the different types of plastic, but as well working with the local facilities, our partners on plastic credit project, to recycle these plastics collected from the seabed. So in this project, we were able to collect over 13,000 of kilograms of plastic waste, including fishing discarded nets, including tires and plastics, and with local association, we were able as well to sensitize people, raising awareness on plastic waste peril. And with the mayor, we have an ambitious project on setting up a municipal regulatory on plastic waste management through the coastal area. So this pilot project demonstrates how the entire chain from the collection of plastic waste from the seabed to the recycling works, and showing that how local resources and human capital can be used effectively to reduce ocean pollution, to create jobs, and to strengthen the local recycling businesses and local communities.
The next question of how important is the continent for the future of the plastic credit markets? Thank you. I really appreciate this question. As I said, the plastic credit market is very new. It's like similar to the carbon credit market that was over 20 years ago. The carbon credit market started to come to fruition. And the plastic credit market is very important to the global south, especially here in Africa, because there's a real issue of plastic pollution here. There are inadequate solid waste management systems, and plastic credits are a market-based solution to address the amount of plastic waste that is found in the environment in West Africa. It's very important to the continent. For example, in Senegal, more plastic waste ends up in the ocean than from the entire United States of America. That's a pretty staggering statistic. Why is that? Well, in the US, we definitely produce more plastic waste than in Senegal, which is in US standards about the size of the state of North Dakota. But Senegal, with over 700 kilometers of coastline and unfortunately inadequate solid waste management systems in place, a lot of that waste ends up in the ocean. I believe that Senegal is the 21st polluter of plastic waste into the ocean. So this is why plastic credits market is vital for what's happening in Africa, because the collection systems and the recycling systems desperately need to be formalized. And we at ACC, we spend our time working with the collectors, working with the recyclers through the plastic credit projects to formalize these systems. So putting a tracking system in place to track the plastic waste that's removed from the environment, to track the plastic waste that's recycled, but at the same time, formalizing how the plastic waste is collected, that it's safe, it's hygienic, and it protects the workers' rights, as well as formalizing the recycling end of it as well. So plastic credits, I think, are, I wouldn't want to say more important than carbon credits because they are of equal value, but plastic credits are very important to the African continent as we move forward to formalize the systems here. And also, just to tell a quick little story, to show the importance of plastic credits in our project, Vera actually did a 4-minute little documentary on one of our collectors, Hassim Jain, who's from Chess, the third largest city in Senegal, who 7 years ago was ready to take a boat illegally to Spain. He had given up thinking he could make a living and support his family in Senegal, so he collected as much money as he could. He worked hard to collect what little bit he could to be able to take the boat to Spain. Fortunately, one of his friends had suggested, Hassim, why don't you try and collect plastic waste? He's like, that's crazy. Why would I do something like that? Fast forward 7 years, he now employs 12 people, 12 employees. He has built a house, he's bought a truck, he sends his 5 children to school, and he helps his brother send his 6 children to school. So by adding value to plastic waste through plastic credits, it helps people like Hassim prevent illegal immigration to actually make a decent living, a very good living, in fact, in Senegal, and create employment for others. So for us, plastic credit market in Africa is desperately needed as we advance forward, and this market also is very important for it to improve. And for international companies like a Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola, sorry to pick on them, but just the first one that came to my mind, should be able to help address and be part of the solution for their plastic footprint in Africa. So by purchasing plastic credits, which go directly to the recycling activities and the collection activities, Coca-Cola can be part of the solution in Africa to reduce the plastic footprint. I always say at conferences, perhaps this could be a bit controversial, is that I hope in 10 years we don't need plastic credits. I hope that we found other solutions, how we can reduce our reliance on plastic, how we can have the recycling system in place and the collection system in place to be able to deal with the plastic that's in the environment, and that in 10 years, plastic credits won't be needed. Okay? So what are the main challenges in our view for the plastic credit market? Similar to carbon credits, with plastic credits, the issue is the standards that are created and the methodologies that are created. They're not created based on the African reality. They're created based in Europe or based in the US, based elsewhere. And we really need standards that reflect the African reality and the very informal system at this time of the collection and recycling of the plastic waste. So I think that's one of the first challenges that came to my mind from this question, is we need to have plastic standards that are more appropriate to the African reality. The second is auditing companies. So obviously, as I mentioned before, like carbon credits, plastic credit projects need to be audited by an independent auditor that comes in and verifies and validates that everything is correct and there's a tracking system in place and that we're meeting the standards that are set forth. There are no, at this time, auditing companies for plastic credits based in Africa. And I think that is something that we need to address. Fortunately, there are branch offices that are based in Africa, but we need much more auditing companies that are based in Africa that understand the African reality of the solid waste management system and how plastic credits can make a difference. And lastly, I want to address sort of the elephant that's always in the living room, and that is greenwashing. I've heard and read articles that plastic credits are just another form of greenwashing. I totally disagree. Why? Because plastic credits are tangible, they're concrete. You can see the plastic, that 1 kilo of plastic that we've developed a tracking system for, and that has been independently verified and validated by an independent auditor. That 1 kilo of plastic is removed from the environment. There's a physical dimension to that, and that 1 kilo of plastic is then recycled. And so it's very tangible and concrete, plastic credits, because you can actually see the effect of the plastic being removed from the environment and the plastic being recycled. And I think that when I hear about greenwashing and they say, well, plastic credits are not dealing with a problem of production, we're not saying that we're dealing with a problem of production. We're saying we're dealing with the issue of the plastic footprint. We want to address the plastic that's leaking into the environment that has to do with inadequate solid waste management systems. As I already mentioned, more plastic waste goes into the ocean from Senegal than the entire United States. We need to address that footprint that's in the environment, that's causing environmental damage, as well as hygienic issues. And so plastic credits address that issue of plastic waste leaking into the environment and how a company can diminish its footprint by purchasing credits that have been validated and verified independently. So the greenwashing aspect of it is a problem in the media because I don't think the media really understands how plastic credit works. And I invite always the media to come and see our projects and come in detail and see from the beginning to the end product how the plastic waste has been transformed and been part of the circular economy.
All right, Africa is very well positioned because the continent already has a strong foundation of community-led recycling, environmental action. So in many countries, including Senegal, thousands of waste pickers, youth group, women group, micro recyclers are already doing the work that plastic credit systems seek to support. So we think with proper financing and transparency, we can scale these efforts quickly. And Africa has a young, dynamic population, growing awareness of population as well, challenges. And we can feel that the government are increasingly committed to the circular economic strategies like in Senegal. And I think that this combination means that the continent is not just prepared, it goes beyond that. It's not only prepared, but it has the potential to become a global leader in high impact, socially driven plastic credit projects.
Yeah, exactly. And what are some of the initiatives that are happening? One I'd like to just share with you is very interesting. In 2024, the World Bank issued a $100 million bond for plastic collection and recycling projects in Ghana and in Indonesia. And as part of this bond, the World Bank utilizes plastic credits as an incentive. So how this works is investors get a guarantee on their principal of 1.75% interest, so their capital is protected. But what's so interesting about this bond is that the bonus return is based on how many plastic credits will be generated and at what price they will be sold. So if you're an investor in this bond, you have your capitals protected, but the bonus is the plastic credits that will be issued from this project. It's a 7-year bond, and I'm very interested. It just started, so very interested to follow this. And it supports a project specifically in Ghana, working in the communities for plastic collection and recycling as part of the circular economy. So this is one way that the continent is doing very interesting initiatives around plastic credits, working directly with the World Bank bond. This is an incredibly interesting sector, the plastic credit market, but also the whole issue of plastic pollution. And there is the plastic treaty that's being run by the United Nations that brings all the countries in the world together, just like COP, but to deal with the issue of plastic pollution. And this plastic treaty has been looking at plastic credits, like carbon credits are in Article 6 of the Paris Treaty, has been looking at plastic credits, what they're calling blended finance, as a potential, as a way for international corporations and countries to meet their responsibility for the plastic pollution in this world. Unfortunately, the plastic treaty, it was just recently, the last one was held in Geneva in August, thanks to the United States and oil producing countries, has been blocked for the moment, but I still have hope for the future that the plastic treaty one day will be signed by all the participating countries, and that plastic credits will be a part of the solution, as I said, a market-based approach that goes directly to the recycling and collection activities. So that is one of the visions for the future. We need to get the plastic treaty up and going, and we need to put in financing mechanisms that actually work and that actually will have an impact. The other is EPR schemes. EPR schemes that include plastic credits. Right now there is one version of an EPR law that's in the Philippines that's working quite well, that has plastic credits as part of its EPR scheme, in which companies that are large companies in the Philippines can offset, I don't really like to use the word offset, but can reduce their plastic footprint in the Philippines by purchasing plastic credits. Why is that important? Is because when you purchase plastic credits, it's a type of results-based financing. The project's already been validated, verified by an independent auditor, and it's on a registry with the credits ready to be bought, and you know that what you're purchasing has already had results. And so your funding goes directly back to those recycling and collection activities that already have a structure in place and that have an international standard that they've been able to meet. So that's part of the EPR scheme in the Philippines that has been working. Obviously, like anything that's new, it needs some fine touches or fine tuning. And we're also working with the Senegalese government on a similar EPR scheme that we hope that they will be able to incorporate, which would allow what we're calling similar plastic credit EPR certificates that would allow companies in Senegal to diminish their plastic footprint in Senegal by purchasing these EPR certificates and be funding projects that are already in the pipeline that have showed results and have been able to meet international standards. So we're suggesting that and looking at that and working with them as part of the EPR scheme. So that is the vision for the sector for plastic credits, more of a short-term vision. And then the long-term vision, as I said, and I know this is controversial, but I hope that in the future we won't need plastic credits, that we've already have the infrastructures in place, that we're able to recycle hard to recycle plastics, and we found solutions to reduce plastic, producing plastic, and we find other solutions for plastic. I think that's the long-term vision, but the short-term vision is let's get the plastic waste out of the environment, let's repurpose it, let it be a part of a circular economy, and let's find the best way to manage it. We're very excited to be part of Africa's Green Economy Summit in South Africa in February, and to be chosen, one of our projects to be chosen as part of the pitch program, as well as we're going to be presenting on plastic credits there. So we're really excited and very delighted to be asked to be part of it. And our project that I was talking about, the Dando Wag initiative, which means reviving seaweed in Senegal, is part of the sargassum seaweed, which is very invasive along the coast of Senegal and also along West Africa. And because of climate change, it's becoming more invasive. This project that we are just completing our feasibility study is actually a structured system to collect and convert up to 10,000 tons of seaweed per year into biochar. And which is a stable carbon-rich material that nourishes the soil. And we use pyrolysis, and through the pyrolysis process, we expect to produce around 1,200 tons of biochar annually, as well as sequestering approximately 1,500 tons of CO2 each year through this biochar project. It's really important to Senegal, this project, because as I mentioned, we have degraded soils here, a lot because of imported chemical fertilizers. And the soils need to be fed, they need to be nourished. While chemical fertilizers feed the plants, the biochar will feed the soil, which then in turn feeds the plants. So it's an organic system of fertilization that is very important and much needed in Senegal. As well, the carbon credits are considered carbon removal credits, from my understanding, the biochar credits, and therefore they're high integrity carbon credits. So it's an investor-ready project because not only are you able to invest in a product such as biochar that is much needed in Senegal and in West Africa to nourish the soil and fertilize the soil, it also will provide for high integrity carbon credits on the market that are in high demand. So we actually have a dual revenue system of the biochar sales into the local market and the carbon removal credits that are sold internationally. And it addresses a clear environmental need. We have a strong business case for that, and we're also hoping to make it replicable as a new model across West Africa. And it provides jobs, and it also uses local resources. So we're very excited to introduce this biochar Dando Wag in South Africa in February at the conference.
I think that events like the Africa's Green Economy Summit are extremely important because they create bridges between African innovators and global investors. So they give visibility to local solutions that are often overlooked, and they open opportunities for funding, knowledge sharing, and partnerships. And for us, participating in such events means showing that Africa is not waiting for solution, but we are actively building these solutions. So this platform help accelerate projects, strengthen collaboration, and highlight the leadership of African organizations in the circular economy.
And the networking potential is really important at these conferences, meeting people who are like-minded or doing similar projects, learning from them, and also the capacity to meet investors that it offers this platform. And the thing that I really appreciate about it is that when you do receive financing, you receive support throughout the process. And that is really important from our perspective, is support from the beginning to the end of the financing of these projects. So it's an important platform, and we're very excited to be a part of it and to be able to meet other people and to network, to share our ideas and to improve.
All right, so I would like just to add that Africa has enormous potential in the circular economy. So every day in the field, we see communities, we see waste pickers, we see young people, and local recyclers committed to protecting the environment despite limited resources. So if we continue investing in people, strengthen local companies, and promoting transparency as a transparent system, we can build something that is both environmentally and impactful and socially transformative. So ACC is very proud to contribute in this movement, and we are excited about what lies ahead for Africa.
And we're very proud and excited to work with the youth of Africa. As you know, 60% of Africans are under the age of 30. And so it's really important to include the youth as part of this. So we're really looking forward to working with Aggies and to move forward and continue our projects in Senegal and West Africa. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you.